So I'm about to state the obvious, so please forgive me, but the cost of living is going up. Yup, inflation is on the rise and it's only gonna get worse. I'm Kalila Reynolds and it's time for another episode of Money Mondays JA. Today I'm gonna break down what exactly is inflation, how is it measured, and how you can protect yourself against it. Money Mondays JA is brought to you by Proven Wealth. Visit provenwealth.com to speak to an investment advisor today and follow We Are Proven on social media. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell icon so that you can be notified whenever there's a new video. Also subscribe to my newsletter at KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter, where you can read a transcript of this episode. So inflation is the general increase in prices of goods and services. This can be caused by increases in raw materials like gas, agricultural produce, shipping costs, or simply because people just have too much money and want to buy everything. Yup, having too much money in the economy can actually be a problem because it increases demand for goods and services. And when demand is high and supply is the same or lower, then yup, prices go up and boom, inflation. In the United States, for example, it's believed that all those stimulus checks have created increased demand because people had extra money to spend. And on the other hand, if you watch Taking Stock, you'll know that there's a global shipping issue, especially coming out of China. So supply from that side of the world has been affected. So again, boom, inflation. Now, U.S. inflation for the past 12 months just hit a 13-year high of 5.4%. the highest since the Great Recession of 2008. In Jamaica, the inflation rate for the past 12 months now stands at 6.1%. FYI, this is called point-to-point inflation. It measures inflation at one point last year compared to the same point this year, for example, August 2020 versus August 2021. So when you hear the term point-to-point inflation, now you know what it means. It usually refers to the increase or decrease over the last 12 months. Now, as I was saying earlier, a global shortage of shipping containers has sent shipping costs through the roof. You can check out our discussion on a recent episode of Taking Stock about that. Many companies ship goods ranging from food items to equipment from China, and so with the increase in shipping costs, they've had to raise their prices to their customers. To make matters worse, in March 2021, the ship Ever Given got stuck in the Suez Canal, one of the world's busiest trade routes, causing further disruption in the global supply chain. Now, shipping ports in China had to close to control COVID-19 cases, causing further delays and decreasing the supply of goods coming from China. There are not even enough ships to ship goods that people are demanding, as there are delays at ports. Gas and oil prices have also gone up as economies recover and demand increases. Also, heavy rains reduced the supply of agricultural produce, causing an increase in food prices. Now, these factors have led to the inflation that we're now experiencing, and which, for all these reasons, is about to get worse. So each country's central bank, in our case, the Bank of Jamaica, monitors inflation to ensure that prices do not go up by too much too quickly, as this would reduce the value of our money. The BOJ monitors inflation based on what is called the Consumer Price Index. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI for short, is a basket of goods and services that represents what we spend money on. So let's see, we have food, rent or mortgage, transportation, clothing, can't forget your light and water bill, to name a few. These items are ranked according to what we spend the most on to what we spend the least on. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin collects the prices of these items each month and records how much prices have increased. The BOJ then uses these observations to make decisions on what they will do to control inflation. So the BOJ has been telling us for some time now about inflation targeting.
Inflation's not the enemy if we control it. If it's too high, the people are gonna cry.
And if it's too low, the country now.
The inflation target is a range that they've set for where they want inflation to be. And they've calculated that an inflation rate between 4 and 6% does not significantly reduce the value of our money or our purchasing power and helps the economy to grow. So they take various measures to try to keep inflation between 4 and 6%. But as you may remember from what I said earlier, inflation is now at 6.1% and climbing, and that's already above the BOJ's target. Now, when we work and get our pay, we usually go to the supermarket to buy groceries. How many items are you able to buy with your pay? Well, that's what's called your purchasing power. If you go to the supermarket this month with 10,000 Jamaican dollars, it's about 67 US dollars, and you're able to buy 10 items, your purchasing power is the 10 items that you bought. But what if next month, when you go to the supermarket and you're only able to buy 5 of those same items with your $10,000? Well, when this happens, we say your purchasing power has decreased or it's been eroded, and that price increase is called inflation. Inflation reduces the number of goods or services that you can afford. In other words, it makes you poorer. Of course, the BOJ does not want this to happen, so they use what they call monetary policies to try and keep inflation within its target range. And like I said, the August point-to-point inflation rate of 6.1% is slightly out of the BOJ's target. And based on their forecasts, they expect it to go up even more. To keep inflation within their targeted range, the BOJ has increased the supply of US dollars available, and they've also raised their policy interest rate from 0.5% to 1.5%. Now, the policy interest rate is the interest that they pay to banks that keep money with them. In an interview on Taking Stock last week, the governor of the BOJ, Richard Biles, explained how the policy interest rate works.
So the 0.5 that has gone to 1.5 is a rate that the banks would earn on it. So the banks, however, may have to start paying depositors more, because you are looking on and saying, well, rates have gone up. I want to see my rate on the CD go up or my savings rate go up. So they may find that they have to raise rates also to keep your deposit or to attract further deposits. When their rates, interest rates that they pay depositors rise, then they have to raise also the rates that they lend at. So it's a kind of knock-on effect.
Now, an increase in lending rates will likely mean that people will borrow less, and in so doing, have less money to buy goods and services. And the BOJ hopes that this move will help to reduce demand and therefore reduce inflation. Of course, it's not without controversy. There are people who are opposed to this strategy because it can also have other effects. Watch Taking Stock to learn more. So, how can we protect ourselves from inflation? Well, in this episode, we've learned that if our annual income is fixed, meaning we earn the same amount of money every year, then the value of our annual income is actually going down because of inflation. Our purchasing power becomes less and less each year. So to protect ourselves from inflation, we must earn more each year at a rate in line with inflation or greater than inflation. Apart from getting a raise each year, if possible, we can earn more by investing, such as in stocks, to benefit from stock price appreciation and dividends, investing in index funds or bonds that generate returns that are equal to or higher than inflation. You could start a profitable business, own an income-generating property, or benefit from appreciation in the value of that same property. Not only should we earn more money from these sources, we should reinvest that money to compound our returns. And we'll discuss compounding returns and interest in another episode. Now, if you're interested in opening your investment account and learning more ways to beat inflation, DM me for a contact at Proven Wealth to get started today. That's it for this episode of Money Mondays, JA. Now here's what's coming up on Taking Stock. Oil prices have once again skyrocketed globally. So what does this mean for your pocket? How soon will you see an increase in cooking gas, car fuel, and your electricity? We'll discuss with General Manager of Petrojam, Winston Watson. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. The local stock market has fallen following the Bank of Jamaica's recent interest rate hike. The big two financial companies, NCB and Scotia, have both seen a decline since the announcement. Caribbean producers have their eyes set on expanding in Jamaica and St. Lucia, as well as acquiring an overseas company. And would you take a vacation to space? Find out why two of the world's richest men, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, are betting on space tourism. We'll discuss. Now don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and sign up for my newsletter at KalilaReynolds.com, where you can read a transcript of this episode. You can click the link in the description box below. Also, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Kalila Ray, and on Facebook at Kalila Reynolds Media. If you're into podcasts, find us on your favorite podcasting platform, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Let's get this money. Money Mondays JA was brought to you by Proven Wealth. Visit provenwealth.com to speak to an investment advisor today and follow We Are Proven on social media.